Do you know what? It's all built on good beginnings, and for us, it was a case of picking the right characters and players that we had from. I know a lot has been mentioned about the Foothills Championship winning team we had. That's absolutely right. That's a great call, but it gives you 50%. It's like any corporate merger. You merge 50% of one company and 50% of new people coming in. It doesn't always mesh. So we were very diligent, Martin, Jordan, myself, on the type of players we could bring in. So we started looking at our recruitment strategy was, what do we have locally? So we signed that, tick that box off. What is available nationally? What Canadians out there that could make us better? And Martin had worked with Mason Trafford, Mara Stacchio, so we brought them in. We looked at Nico Giantsopoulos. He was someone we thought could add value. And then from there, we looked at international pieces we didn't have. So, as much as you got Instat and Wisecout out there, if I couldn't see the player with my own eyes, it was a case of FaceTime and getting to know the player, because we're very big on the person as well as the player. Built that. We had a great pre-season. I think we were undefeated even in there. And I think what that did was created a great spirit. We're very big on the values that we want to create. Every training session meant something. Every session had a purpose, whether it was recovery or intensity. And I think even within about the third or fourth week, we actually had a week of games where every game was recorded and there was a league table up there. So suddenly, right now, players could see if they were top of the sprints or bottom of the mini game series, and it started making this great competitive environment. And you see that with the way we play now. We're very fierce in how we win games, and we win them in different ways. We can win it with total football or win it with set plays. We can win it with one-goal games. And I think when you look at the spring season, we won a lot of close games early that then just gave us a momentum to build off of.
Sorry, Tommy, do you mind just knocking your hair back? It's just kept casting shadow.
There you go.
You surprised at the dominance from, I guess, the top two teams, but your team in particular? I mean, would you ever expect it at the start to be 30, 40 points ahead of the club that's in 7th place right now? I mean, did you expect that? Did you have a sense from the training camp or anything?
No, I knew we'd compete. Any team that I'm involved with is always there to compete, and I know we'd always be tough to beat. I think what we've done has been the most consistent. I think it's not just the core that we had, it's how we've adapted to travel. Like, I think teams have suffered when they've gone on the road, whereas we have become road warriors. I mean, we've only lost 3 league games really in almost 30 games, and that's huge. So I think we just become a really good group. I looked at all the other groups as they're signing players, go, he's a good player. Oh, he's good. He'd be good in our side. And you look at them, and when you see them down in the Dominican, you see they got nice pieces. I mean, we were fortunate enough to play York 9. I thought out the bat, we had them first game, having had 2 games in Dominican. I thought, Jimmy's obviously a solid guy, great coach, great history in the Canadian game. We thought they'd be good. Edmonton are signing a lot of their ex-players that have more history than we've ever had, and we thought they'd be tough. So, and we know with Gailey's a good coach, and he's tapping into his resources with the Canada U20 program that he had and bringing through all these emerging stars. And it is a bit of a surprise. But I knew we'd be there competing, but not at this distance.
So by the end of the CPL finals, you all played Forge 9 times this year, I believe. I had a coach in college who he was always impressed if you managed to beat your in-conference team twice in the league, and then if you met in the conference tournament and managed to beat them. Yeah. He always said that was one of the hardest things to do, was beat the same team 3 times in 1 year. Yeah. So you're playing a team 9 times, when it's all said and done. What kind of psychology goes into that? How does that change things throughout the season?
We use a playoff format. So we looked at how many teams we play against. So we looked at Halifax. We had to play them 5 times, 3 their place, 2 at ours. We said, let's win the 5-game series. Edmonton's the same. We play them 5 times. We've got the last game coming up, and we said, let's win that series. Pacific was another one. We played them in the cup competition. So every single opponent now became a series. So we'd measure it over that. So now we got Forge, and it's kind of neck and neck. We're ahead of them, but we see it as a series. 7-game series if you include the Canadian Championship, 9-game series with the final. So we just want to win every series against every team, really.
Then how do you prepare differently? I mean, it would seem like you as a club, you have your identity. Maybe you can do a few different things within that identity, but you can't do 9 different things, right? So how do you change so that Bobby doesn't know what's going on?
Rhythm is key. So I think you've seen over the course of the season, we have thrown a few curveballs. We're playing a back 3. We played a 3-4-3. in attack that's become a 4-4-1-1 in defence. You know, we've been a little bit versatile in that way. We started the season 3-5-2 against York 9. We've had a 4-3-3, now a 4-2-3-1. You know, we used inverted wingers versus out-and-out wingers, you know, operating with a false 9. So we'll change nuances, but for us, the biggest thing was units. So if you look at now our centre-back pairings, you know, Mason Trafford was late to join the team, as was Nick Ledgerwood because of early pre-season injuries. Same with Sergio Camargo. And then we had a core group of Jay Wheeldon, Joe Waterman, Dominic Zator starting to play well, so they formed our back three to begin with. Then in front you had Elijah, Julian Boucher, and then when Sergio came in, they started playing well. Then Nico Pasquotti started playing well. And any times we brought players out were either injury or rhythm. And you know, now as we're preparing for the finals, it's keeping those units together. We've got Oliver Minatel that's found form at a great time because he was injured to start with. You know, now he's that Brazilian ghost that's coming up with key goals at key times. Dominic Malonga's having a great run of form now. So it's keeping people in rhythm and recognising when they need more game time.
From your, let's say your first training game against York 9, I think I remember you guys coming back to the hotel and there had been like a scrap or a fight or something like that match. Anyway, we won't talk about that. But from that first game to now to the CBL finals, can you just pick one thing that in a positive way you guys have changed? Any kind of growth?
I think we're very tough to beat. I think that's the first and foremost. So we like to defend high and we like to play out from the back. So it's funny, our attack starts at the back and our defend starts from the front. I think we've evolved that over time. I really believe the run in the Canadian Championship helped. It also hindered in our August play because we knew, you know, the nature of this league. You have 7 games in 21 days. That was hard, and especially with travel. I think we traveled close to 20,000 kilometres during those 21 days. And then I talk about rhythm. Suddenly we had to rotate, and it was based on, you know, needs of players, and you couldn't play that much. But I think what we've been very good at is being tough to play against whoever's in the lineup and whatever formation we play.
For me, just talking about forwards a little bit, Kyle Becker, Tristan Borges, I think they have to be in the best 11 coming into the season. Just what have you seen from them this year? I mean, did you expect Borges to be this influential? Did you expect, you know, Becker? It could have gone either way for him. I think this year could have said, "Oh, he's kind of done," and instead, I think he's one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
So, what have you seen from them this year?
I agree. I tell you, they're enjoyable to watch. It. You know, that's the great thing about the Canadian Premier League. There's lots of different styles out there. It's not like, right, everybody's going to play a 4-3-3 and that's it. You know, you got different variations and iterations. You know, Jimmy's 4-3-3 is different than Bobby's. You know, Edmonton and have gone into a 4-4-2. You know, Val have started playing a little 3-4-3, and Halifax play a deep line 4-4-2. You know, we're versatile. But what I like about Forge is, as soon as they have the ball, they'll cut you right open. You know, Becker is one of the best passers in Canadian football. I think he's a talented player. Borges, it's funny, I got a chance to work with him at the U17 CONCACAF tournament with Sean Fleming. And he played as a 10 for us there. And he just had this great ability to find pockets of space. And he scored a great goal against Mexico in the CONCACAF. And we tied that game 1-1. I always thought he was a good player. And then he drifted, he went out, and I lost track of him. And you know, credit to Bobby for bringing him back, because he's been an exciting part of the league and what this league's about. But I also think, you know, you got, you know, young players like Crutzen coming in. I think he's been a good player, and he adds balance with being a left-sider. And you know, bringing back a Wooer from the MLS was a smart move. They've, you know, Nanko's got pace to burn. They've got some really good tools, and I say credit, because you know what Bobby and his brother built at Sigma is now holding true in their development and their ideals, and that's what we've needed in this country.
So the whole whoever wins the fall got thrown out the window because of the Ticats. But you guys do have the second leg, so it has to be seen as an advantage to play the second leg at home, because you know the result that you need, and then also if you win, you get to lift the trophy in front of your home supporters. So how big of an advantage is it to play the second leg at home?
Massive, but I've got a narrative for either way really, because you know we won at Whitecaps playing away from home in the second leg, but we won at home playing Forge in the Canadian Championship. So for us though, you know, it is the northern star for us to be able to do it in front of our fans, because you know we started the season in snow, we've ended it in snow, and or possibly on November 2nd. But any club that gets the chance to have the opportunity to lift the trophy in front of their fans, who pay their hard-earned money, get get out there, rain or shine, I think it is huge for us and something that we're really looking forward to because, it's not lost on us that the league started in Hamilton, but we want it to end in Calgary.
You mentioned this before playing the Whitecaps and that you thought that they would find it challenging going to Spruce Meadows because it's not their, their turf pitch, which the ball rolls true all the time. Maybe they're not used to playing in that kind of an environment. It's a stadium that doesn't have stands on all sides, for instance, which could be a little bit different for the Whitecaps, and I think that was true. Going to the conditions, do you guys think you're better equipped to have a game that could potentially be in pretty cold weather? Who knows what the precipitation will be? I mean, are you guys more equipped than Forge, would you say?
I think mentally, yeah. I mean, we've got this ethos about us and it hangs above our locker room wall. Adapt and overcome. Things have been thrown at us in different ways, whether it be the travel, whether it's suspensions, early preseason injuries, with Chris Serban going down, then Dean North over midway through the season, having no right backs, and then forming, young Malik Hamilton and Zator filling that void brilliantly. We've had 2 send-ins off in 2 games, and we got Nick Ledgewood down a man, and then within a goal against Montreal just to come at it. I think we're very good at whatever the conditions are, we'll play it. We know going to Tim Hortons Field, that's a hard pitch. It's like a wind tunnel going through there. So for 45 minutes of football, if you've got the wind, you've got the advantage. If you're against the wind, then they're going to come non-stop. And when you've got Becker whipping in free kicks or Borges, you're under a lot of pressure. So you've got to kill those games off. But I think we're tactically and mentally equipped for all conditions.
For a long time at the TFC, they had this thing with Columbus where it always seemed like something weird happened in games against Columbus. I remember one time Columbus goalkeeper scored like the death for a win, and this always seemed like something weird happened. I think there's been a lot of games between Forge and Cavalry where something's happened, where it's caught the eye, it's been interesting, whether it be a good goal, a goal to death, a brawl at the end of a game. So I don't think there's bad blood between you guys. I wouldn't phrase it that way, but how would you phrase kind of this new rivalry in the league that no one really expected?
I think it's a rivalry this league needed. It's the Pepsi, Coke, Liverpool, Man U, the Milan derbies, Glasgow, Celtic and Rangers. They're born out of the games. It's not because you're in a location. We're always going to have a rivalry with Edmonton, but that's just because of other sports and cities being close to each other, and I'm sure the same with the 905 derby. But when you're going neck and neck for something, I always remember Man United and Arsenal during the Invincibles and the highly contested games that went on there. It's no different. All of our games have been 1-goal games thus far. So that speaks to the quality and the competitive edge in both sides. So I enjoy having it because we've needed it. They've made us better, and I hope vice versa. We've done the same for them.
Season's end. How many players from Forge and Cavalry do you think will end up in the league's best 11? I mean, I think it should just be you guys should make it the best 11, right? But
yeah, I mean, because you always look. It's funny because we play that on the bus. If you were to now take your team and take one player from each team off there, who would you take? And there's some great talent in the league, so it's hard to say that. But you know what? You can't shy from the fact that we've had a great cup run as well as a great league play consistently. They've done exactly the same. The league table never lies, and they've done well in the CONCACAF Nations League. So, deserve to be in there, the players. It's hard to say, Becker and Borges on that side, and you look at ours with Zators, Pasquattis, Malongas, Mason Trout, like the list goes on really. But that's up for the pundits to do. That's your job.
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be up to the league a little bit more than it should be. I want to talk Jose Escalante.
Sure.
Love the player. Love what he brings. Maybe he goes a little overboard occasionally. Maybe you got to reel him in just a little bit and let you tell me that. But what is it about this guy that he contributes in a soccer way, and then also seems to have a way to contribute in what I would call other ways on the field?
Do you know what we were looking at? Again, going back to our recruitment, we wanted a left-sided player that could attack for us, but also had game savvy. And what we liked about him, his history showed that he came to Houston Dynamo as a young player from Honduras. So players like him and Julian Boucher that played in the MLS as well, by being international imports, Maro's domestic, but him and Ollie Minitel played for Ottawa, Fury as well. You knew that they could adapt to the travel that is in North America, and not many players and imports can do that. Jose Escalante has game-changing ability. So you look at the way he whipped in the cross for Zator's winner against Whitecaps. You look at his last-minute goal or last-minute goals against Valor in one of our early games. you know, he does get under people's skin. You know, that's the nature of the Latin beast that he has. But I love him for it, because you know what? You talk to him, he's an incredible human being, and that was how he passed our test. The learning curve of, you know, Telford Escalante'd him. You know, if you look at the incident, you know, Telford's got away with it because he's put it, but that's his game savvy for now playing in the CONCACAF, and that's part of the learning curve Jose needs to go through. He's missed 3 games. He'll know now how far the line is, and something as a young player, he's the type of player that gets people off their seats, and that's what I love about him.
Yeah, he's absolutely enraged Jeff Paulus a few times. Jeff Paulus has called him dirty before. Jose Escalante a dirty
I think
player?
cheat was the word.
Okay,
but
is he a cheat?
Yeah.
Jose Escalante a cheat?
No, he plays the game on the edge, and I think all players with a winning mentality do it, and he's learnt where that edge is, and now it's up to him now. I mean, you'll see in these coming games, he'll have something to say about these finals.
The crowd at Spruce Meadows, it seems like whenever you guys can get it packed in, you know, the Canadian Championship games were fantastic. Looked like great theater on TV. What kind of edge can they give you, especially if the environment's tough for Forge and the crowd's really on top of them? It gets loud in there, the stands are quite loud. What are you hoping Calgary brings on that night on November 2nd?
Well, credit to our foot soldiers. They sing non-stop, and I mean, it's genius from our ownership group, because the type of seating and stadium that we've put in there has this aluminium set into it, so when you bang your feet, it just echoes. So, you know, as soon as that was built and we walked in there, I sat there and the pitch is sunken in, and it felt, you know, like a Roman Colosseum. So as players, when we first walked on there to see it and we're looking around, and I just paused and talked to him, I said, think now, you're 11 gladiators going into there. And in the time of the gladiator, there was no second place. So everybody that comes into this tunnel, there's only one winner leaving. And we made that a point that was a winning turf for us. And when the stadium is above us and the fans are singing and banging, I mean, it's amazing. I think back to some of the big games we've had, whether it was, you know, our home opener against York in the snow, or, you know, against Forge, we've had some good attendances, and then the Whitecaps in Montreal. Like Montreal, the fans were in their seat 15 minutes before the game, and I got goosebumps walking out, and it was just an incredible experience, and the lads give everything they have for them.
Going back to, I think there's 2 more here, but going back to seeing Forge so many times, I don't know do you even have a pretty good idea of how to play against them and how you think you want to play against them whenever they have their best 11 out there? Do you think you guys have figured them out in a way?
I think so. I mean, even I look back, you know, even the losses to them, when we just lost recently to them, I thought we were the better side for most of the first half, and then second half they kicked it up a gear, and we didn't manage their transition as well as we'd like to. I think when they beat us 1-0 at our place, I thought we were brilliant. It was one of our best performances, but that's football. The only stat that ever matters is what you put into the back of the net. But I think we know them. You know, they're not going to change too much in the next bit, nor are we, really. So I think really it's about having plan B and C, and that's what we've prepared for.
The last question, what about just a place in history of being the first ever CPL champion? I think anybody who follows MLS for a long time still kind of has visions of the rainy game in DC, and Eddie Pope scoring an extra time, and you know, there's DC United wins the first ever championship. I still have that vision. So what about just having you guys having that, you know, for the rest of your lives, that you were the first ever CPL champion, and all those pictures and all those images?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not lost on our group, our ownership group, our fans, our players, our coaching staff. You only get to be the first once. So when, you know, the spring season, we've carved it up in bite-sized chunks. So we said, right, spring season, let's be the first ever spring season winner. Fall season, you know, everyone felt that we'd take our foot off the gas because we had a foot in the final. We didn't see it that way, because form and rhythm takes you into the finals. You know, we're on the verge of that. And then the CPL finals, you know, to have the honour of lifting the first ever trophy, I think is something that's really, really cool for us. Because these players, part of my pitch to have them come back to Canada or come over to Canada was to be the founding forefathers. You know, I want my kid who's 10 to grow up knowing these players. I want the next generation of players to be playing in front of, you know, 15, 20,000, 30,000 on a regular basis, because of the work that these players are going to do.
Great. All right.
Cool.